Just 1 year after Halloween 2, we get another sequel. This one doesn't follow Michael Myers, however. It's a completely different story, a completely new story. And it kind of takes the franchise as a whole in a direction that original creator John Carpenter wanted to go in. He didn't want to continue the Michael Myers story in Halloween 2. He'd have rather had a kind of anthology type series in which you keep the Halloween name, but you change the story. And you can tell whatever story you want to tell under that banner. So that's the direction they go in here. Now this one is written and directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, who had done a lot of work with John Carpenter over the years before this. John Carpenter's on as producer here, so it's probably, I guess, natural that Tommy Lee Wallace would get the role. Also, just to keep some of the flavour of the first two films, we get the cinematographer Dean Cundy returning once more. And I do like that. I like that you can recognise the visuals in this as being his. You know, it does have that similar flavour that the first two movies had. The story centres around a man, a broken man, an alcoholic, who's a doctor, who gets embroiled in this case when a man dies, a man is murdered in his hospital, and he kind of traces back to where this killer came from by helping the daughter of the victim. And it basically leads to this big conspiracy of these masks that are being made for Halloween by this company, Silver Shamrock, and a rather despicable kind of plan that is behind them in order to kill most of the children in the US who are wearing them on Halloween night. That little plot synopsis there really doesn't begin to cover just how stupid the plot of this film is. While I think that Tommy Lee Wallace does have some skills as a director here, and I think he works well with Dean Cundy, and he gets fairly decent performance out of most of his actors, he cannot write for toffee, basically. The script for this is appallingly bad. Now, this could have much to do, I guess, with the short turnaround between the second film and this one, but yeah, it feels very, very rushed indeed. Parts of the plot just seem to kind of meander, and then we go from that to moments of action, bursts of action that kind of just feel stuck in. Like we get this scene towards the end when a character we find out is a robot. They've been replaced with a robot. That in and of itself is dumb enough to begin with, because whenever we've seen other robots within the film, it's been blatantly obvious because they look kind of starry-eyed, emotionless, well, robots. So the fact that this main character of ours escapes with this character and doesn't figure for one moment that it might be one of these robots, yeah, it's all just a bit lame. There is some great scenes in here for gorehounds, I will say, though. There's a few moments when a few heads get crushed and things like that, and one when this laser shoots through this woman's face. It made me jump. I wasn't quite expecting it. It's been a long time since I'd seen this film. I saw it when I was much younger, and I remember being scared by it as a child, and I remember kind of liking it, I think, as a child. But I've just never gone back to it since, until now. Obviously, you can tell from what I've already said that I don't really like it. It just doesn't hold up at all well for me. But there are still a few shocks in there to be had, still a few pleasant surprises, I guess you could say, for horror fans. John Carpenter's back on music duty here, but he's also partnered up with Alan Howarth. So how much of the score is his and how much is Howarth's, I don't know. But I will say I do like it. I like the score. When the end credits came up, I was all but ready for just turning the film off, but I enjoyed the music that was playing, so I let the credits play through just to listen to that music. Although I will say that the Silver Shamrock theme rather annoyingly gets stuck in your head, and when we have the bits towards the end, when it's allowed to play through to its completion, when we see what it does to these kids who are wearing the masks whilst watching it, gets really annoying. It's just this really repetitive, fast kind of motion music that just, yeah, you're screaming in your brain to just make it stop. This main character of Daniel, played by Tom Atkins, is a very flawed character. And I kind of like that aspect of the character in one sense, because it plays into a lot of stuff towards the end of the film where people won't believe him. His wife predominantly won't believe him. And we see that he's a bit of a womanizer as well. But on the flip side of that, we get this other character, Ellie, played by Stacey Nelkin. And I just don't buy for a moment that these two would hook up, particularly in the way that they do. It comes out of nowhere, you know? When you're following these characters, it's almost like a surrogate father-daughter relationship, and I wish they'd have stuck with that. I liked that. That's what it should have been. But when you get to a point where you're seeing this man who's twice her age, who's old enough to be her dad, and they're having a love scene, it just gets a little bit icky. So really, this film was quite a slog to get through, I must say. I think it set up some intrigue in the beginning, which I was willing to go along with. But the moment we get to the Silver Shamrock Town, it's all downhill from there, and it kind of disappears down the toilet. I give this a 1.5 out of 5. I don't think I'll ever want to see this again. Yeah, there you go. What about you? Have you seen Halloween 3, A Season of the Witch? And if so, what did you think about it? Comment below, and until next time, cracking.